How boundaries are developed. Jim had never been able to say no to anyone, especially to his supervisors at work. He'd moved up to the position of operations manager in a large firm. His dependability had earned him the reputation of Mr. Can-Do, but his kids had another name for him, the Phantom. Jim was never home. Being Mr. Can-Do meant late nights at the office. It meant business dinners several nights a week. It meant weekends on the road. Even after he'd promised the kids fishing trips and outings to the zoo. Jim didn't like being absent so much, but he had justified it to himself, saying, "This is my contribution to the kids, my way of giving them the good life." His wife, Becca, had rationalized the dadless dinners by telling the children and herself, "This is Dad's way of telling us he loves us," and she almost believed it. Finally, however, Becca had enough. One night she sat Jim down on the couch in the family room and said, "I feel like a single parent, Jim. I missed you for a while, but now all I feel is nothing." Jim avoided her eyes. "Honey, I know," he replied. "I'd really like to say no to people more, but it's just so hard to." "I found someone you can say no to," Becca broke in. "Me and the kids." That did it. Something broke deep within Jim. A sense of pain, of guilt and shame, of senseless helplessness and rage. The words tumbled out of his mouth. "Do you think I like being like this? Always giving in to others? Do you think I enjoy letting my family down?" Jim paused, struggling for composure. "All my life it's been this way, Becca. I've always feared letting people down. I hate this part of me. I hate my life. How did I get like this? How did I get like, how did Jim get like this?" He loved his family. The last thing he wanted was to neglect his most precious relationship, his wife and children. Jim's problems didn't start the day he was married. They developed during his early significant relationships. They were already a part of his character structure. How do boundary abilities develop? What's the purpose of this chapter? We hope you'll be able to gain some understanding of where our own boundaries started crumbling or become set in concrete, and how to repair them. As you read this section, remember David's prayer to God about his life and development. "Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting." Psalms 139, verse 23 to 24. God's desire is for you to know where your injuries and deficits are, whether self-induced or other-induced. Ask Him to shed light on the significant relationships and forces that have contributed to your own boundary struggles. The past is your ally in repairing your present and ensuring a better future. Boundary development. Remember the old saying, insanity is genetic. You inherit it from your kids. Well, boundaries aren't inherited, they are built. To be the truth-telling, responsible, free, and loving people God wants us to be, we need to learn limits from childhood on. Boundaries development is an ongoing process, yet its most crucial stages are in the early years when our character is formed. The scriptures advise parents to start children off on the way that they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it. Proverbs 22, verse 6. Many parents misunderstand this passage. They think the way they should go means the way we, the parents, think our kids should go. Can you see the boundary conflicts already beginning? The verse actually means the way God has planned for them to go. In other words, good parenting isn't emotional bludgeoning the child into some clone or idea of the perfect child. It's being a partner and helping young ones discover what God intended for them to be and helping them reach that goal. The Bible teaches that we pass through life in stages. John writes to little children, young men, and fathers. Each group has distinct tasks to perform. 1 John 2, verse 12 through 13. Boundaries also develop in specific distinct phases that you can perceive. In fact, by noting infants and children in their early parental interactions, child development professionals have been able to record the specific phases of boundary development. Bonding, the foundation of boundary building. Wendy couldn't understand it. Sometimes wasn't gelling. All those codependency books she'd read, all those one-line assertiveness tutorials she had watched, all these self-talk she had rehearsed about being more confrontive, and yet every time she talked to her mother on the phone, all the advice, all the self-help techniques melted away into a vague, cloudy memory. A typical conversation about Wendy's children would always conclude with her mom's analysis of Wendy's imperfect parenting style. I've been a mother longing for you, Mom would say. Just do it my way. Wendy resented her advice. It wasn't that she wasn't open to guidance. Lord knows she could use it. It was just another that her mom thought her way was the only way. Wendy wanted a new relationship with her mom. She wanted to be honest about her mom's control, her polite put-downs, and her inflexibility. Wendy wanted an adult-to-adult friendship with her mom, but the words wouldn't pass her lips. She'd write out what she wanted to say, explaining her feelings. She'd rehearse before telephoning, yet when the time came, she panicked and remained silent. She well knew how to be compliant, appreciative, and childlike with her mom. It was only later, when she became angry, that she knew she had been taken to task again. She was beginning to give up hope that things would ever change. Wendy's struggle illustrates a basic need that we all have in boundary building. No matter how much you talk to yourself, read, study, or practice, you can't develop or set boundaries apart from supportive relationships with God and others. Don't even try to start setting limits until you have entered into deep, abiding attachment with people who will love you no matter what. Our deepest need is to belong, to be in a relationship, to have a spiritual and emotional home. The very nature of God is to be in relationship. God is love, says 1 John 4, verse 16. Love means relationship, the caring, committed connection of one individual to another. Like God, our most central need is to be connected. When God said that even in his perfect new universe it wasn't good for the man to be alone, Genesis 2 verse 18, he wasn't talking about marriage. He was talking about relationship. Other people outside ourselves to bond with, trust, and go for support. We are built for relationship. Attachment is the foundation of the soul's existence. When this foundation is cracked or faulty, boundaries become impossible to develop. Why? because when we lack relationship, we have nowhere to go in a conflict. When we are not secure that we are loved, we are forced to choose between two bad options. We set limits and risk losing a relationship. This was Wendy's fear. She was afraid her mother would reject her and she would be isolated and alone. She still needed mom's connection to feel secure. We don't set limits and remain a prisoner of the wishes of another. By not setting limits on her mom, Wendy was a prisoner to her mom's wishes. So the first developmental task of infants is to bond with their mom and dad. They need to learn that they are welcome and safe in the world. To bond with baby, mom and dad need to provide a constant, warm, loving, and predictable emotional environment for him or her. During this stage, mom's job is to woo the child into entering a relationship with the world by attachment with her. Most often, this is mom's job, but dad or a caregiver can do this as well. Bonding takes place when the mother responds to the needs of the child, the needs for closeness, for being held, for food, and for changing. As baby experiences needs and the mother's positive responses to take needs, he or she begins to internalize or take in an emotional picture of a loving, constant mother. Babies at this stage have no sense of self apart from mother. They think mommy and me are the same. It's sometimes called symbiosis, a sort of swimming in closeness with mother. This symbiotic union is the reason babies panic when mother isn't around. No one can comfort them but their mother. The emotional picture developed by infants forms from thousands of experiences in the first few months of life. The ultimate goal of mothers being there is a state called emotional object constancy. Object constancy refers to the child's having an internal sense of belonging and safety, even away from the presence of the mother. All those experiences of constant loving pay off in a child's inner sense of security it has been built in. Object constancy is referred to in the Bible as being rooted and established in love, Ephesians 3:17, and as having been rooted and built up in Christ, Colossians 2 verse 7. It illustrates the principle that God's plan for us is to be loved enough by Him and others not to feel isolated even when we're alone. Bonding is a prelude. As children learn to feel safe at home with their primary relationships, they are building good foundations to withstand the separateness and conflict that comes with boundary development.